I hate to say this, but if we end up in a dictatorship, and if I end up not having a choice with my body, and if police end up having full immunity, if they decide to take black books out of the education system or get rid of the complete education system, that's going to be black men's fault. It's going to be black men's fault because of their dire hate for black women, especially Kamala. I'm not saying I love her, but she ain't Trump. Okay? It's going to be y'all. Y'all going to fuck it up. I've had too many conversations where there's absolutely no real data or real policy talk or real stats. Oh, he's a businessman. If that is the only fucking thing you have to say after I just named all of that shit, you the problem. You the problem because, yeah, United States is a business, but we are people. We are people, and the people still need actual, genuine leadership, even though I don't think that the establishment is genuine at all. But fuck, it's gonna be y'all.
How about we go through line by line exactly what she said to break down how awesome her talking points is, and to illustrate to you guys how easily manipulated and how people are kept on a Democratic plantation, because it doesn't really matter about the facts. It doesn't really matter about history. It doesn't really matter about what he stands for. It doesn't even matter that people loved Trump way before he became president of the United States of America. Then all of a sudden they said that he was racist. Neither here nor there. We'll get there. Let's go by it line by line. Let's start all the way over and let's address each and individual point and break down why men don't follow women, why God said that it's a hierarchy and God over man, man over woman, woman over child, and why women need to get on board instead of it being the other way around. But we're going to get there. Before we get there, I always like to give credit to the content creator, so make sure that y'all support the content creator by tapping on their profile if you want to follow them, if you want to rock out with them, if you think that they're great. They create great content. Be my guest, do so. And regardless of whether I agree with them or not, I always support my content creators. Secondly, I would love for you guys to make sure you tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Third, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. It's a phenomenal product. And then last but not least, come and get your tickets to kick it with me in person. As of the recording of this video, we have Atlanta on November 2nd coming up, and we have Detroit on December 14th, and we're going to get it popping. Discount code Anton, and let's get it in. So let's go through each of our talking points, and then I'm going to break down to you guys why black men will never and why men should never follow women to anything, especially when it comes to leading their household and who they're going to vote for the president of the United States of America. Let's get into it.
I hate to say this, but if we end up in a dictatorship.
A dictatorship. Interesting. Would you happen to know that they offer civics classes, Civics 101? You can get it in high school. You can get it in college. You may even be able to take a Udemy course and check it out. They offer civics classes. And in the United States of America, it's practically impossible for anybody to have a dictatorship. If anything, the only dictatorship that we see is somehow in Congress because they don't have term limits. But as illustrated by Trump having a peaceful transition when he first left office in 2020, 2021, there is no dictatorship because we have layers of government, which is probably one of the issues that we have today, is that we have layers of government that then determine or hold up bills and things that's in the best interest of the people. They can't even get a budget done because they all have to agree. The beautiful thing about this that we can lean into is that if you understand the role of the vice president, then we would start laying more of this at her feet. So I'll give you an example. She is basically the president of the Senate, and she casts the tie-breaking vote for the majority of the bills and the legislation and the acts that you then see. And then she also acts as the second version of the president for delegated responsibilities, which is one of the reasons why they term her the border czar, because the first thing that Biden did when she got into office was task her with fixing the issues at the border, which she failed miserably. At the same time, she did cast a tie-breaking vote more than any other vice president in history, and they also certify the election, which is one of the reasons why people saying Trump fell out with Mike Pence. But the point that I'm making is that when people just spew this nonsense about a dictatorship and our inability to manage ourselves or govern ourselves effectively, it's just all silly talking points from people that are trying to fear you into voting for Kamala Harris because they don't have any reason to vote for. They have a reason to vote against Trump. They're making up a reason to vote against Trump. That's why you see people say crazy stuff like this. She said that she don't even necessarily care for Kamala Harris, which is the same thing that I see every single Democrat say, is that, it's nothing that I necessarily care about her for. It's just that I don't like Trump. The beautiful thing about that also is that we have an example of what the economy like and what America was like in 2016 through 2020. It was phenomenal. Record low inflation, record high job growth, record high wage growth, no new wars. Everything was booming and everything was rocking. And they fear-mongered y'all into going into this election thinking that it's better to experience 3.5 years that we've recently just had versus the 4 years that we had under Trump. Let's go to the next point.
And if I end up not having a choice with my body.
Interesting that you say that. Let's talk about the Republican Party and what they stand for as far as how your body is to be used. First and foremost, the greatest form of contraception is to close your legs and to marry before you carry. I have never personally ever worried about having to push a woman to get an abortion. You know why? Because I've never put myself in a position to have a child out of wedlock. We have over 104 different forms of contraception. And guess what? Deleting babies is not supposed to be one of them. But what we see in our communities is women leveraging reproductive rights, that's how they termed it, in order to be able to remove things that they don't want, instead of closing their legs and being careful and marrying before they carry. But I got news for you. Guess what? Republicans and Democrats agree that in extreme circumstances, there needs to be issues that are handled differently. So, for example, rape, incest, we all know that those are things that is not even debatable, but they use that in order to fearmonger you. More importantly, the thing that Republicans and conservatives believe in is smaller government. The government having overreach into all of our lives is an issue. Being overtaxed, being overwatched, and then all of the bureaucracy that goes along with the things that happen in our legislative branches is a problem. And so what Trump basically stands for is not to remove the ability to do what you want to do with your own body. You want to go late-term pregnancy, eliminate it? That's up to you. Well, actually, it's up to the voters. So that's what he did. He said, listen, we shouldn't have no say-so in y'all life. That's exactly what he's giving you. You get to determine that on a local level in your state. In Ohio, which is traditionally a little bit more conservative, but it's still a swing state, they decided that they wanted to embrace the reproductive liberal views that's on the left. And that's what it is, and there's no interference in it whatsoever. And so you being able to remove something out of your body that you didn't want, but yet you opened up your legs to get, like you didn't understand how it works, that's up to you. And that is on a local level, but you should not have government overreach into your body to be able to do so. Up to the voters, which is even more of a reason for you to participate in your local election because it's more meaningful to your life than what happens on a national level. Let's continue.
And if police end up having full immunity?
Full immunity. Let's talk about full immunity, since Democrats have no insight, no understanding whatsoever into what that actually means. It only protects police officers if they are following the manual, following their training, and doing what they're supposed to do. That means that their personal assets are not at risk and you can't go after them for something that they were trained to do, and that they have proper training, which is one of the things that we're advocating for, is that police officers get more support, more funding, and more training, not defunding the police. And their assets shouldn't be personally at risk because they're on the job doing their job, so they're immune to personal attacks or personal lawsuits at times where they're actually participating on and doing real community and police work by people that look just like you. but we've weaponized the uniform. It does not protect police when they go outside of what it is that they're supposed to do, and they are going to still be held accountable. But immunity is a way for them to incentivize more police officers to want to live, work, play, and police within their own community, especially if they look like you. Why wouldn't you want to support the police against the criminals? So you'd rather support the criminals against the police. But again, the level of ignorance and misunderstanding that's being communicated to you guys is amazing. Let's continue.
If they decide to take black books out of the education
Black
system or get
books
rid
out
of
of
them.
the education system. Isn't that interesting? Do you know how much they've rolled different departments on the federal level into each other? And they keep talking about the Department of Education. I'm amazed at that. You know what they don't advocate against? Because that's all false too. We don't even really have to address it, but let's look at it from a different lens. You're voting for a party that is willing to teach your children that they can believe whatever it is that they want to believe in their heads, similar to the laws that was passed over in California just recently, meaning that they now can go to school and it is not the teacher's responsibility to let the parents know that they want to be called something different or they identify as something different. All of the nastiness that's inside of these books, I'm not interested in my child having conversations about gender affirmation in school. That's my job as a parent to teach them at home. You teach them science, geography, math. But they are sitting here getting mad at the wrong reasons just to be able to justify why they don't like somebody by talking points that's not even relevant to this election and doesn't even really exist.
Complete education system. That's going to be black men's fault.
And the final nail in the coffin, which she goes on to say, is that it's because us as black men, as educated and as well thought out as we are, because we are free thinkers, they are now shaming us and telling us that we hate them because we don't support and we have the right to view things and vote based off of our own best interests, which is best for our families. Somehow, some way, we no longer have responsibility to ourselves, but is only supposed to support your deranged thinking to align yourself with people that absolutely go against every single principle that is in the Bible itself. Interesting. I don't want to bore you. I don't want to keep going. I'm curious as to what y'all think. Again, make sure y'all tap into the Patreon. Link is in the description. Also, Teach Hanley, 40% off your first order plus 20% off of life. And then last but not least, again, make sure you guys get your tickets. Let me know what y'all think about this. Do you agree with her or do you align more with my train of thought? I love you. I appreciate you. I'm going to holler at you guys later. Interesting.